Ladies and gentlemen, let me begin with a truth that will change your life if you receive it. You do not get in life what you wish for. You get what you are. We live in a world that has sold us a lie. A lie that says, if you want something badly enough, you'll get it. But I've got news for you, wanting is not enough. Wishing is not a wealth strategy. Hope is not a business plan. Desire without alignment is delusion. You attract what you are, not what you want. You attract what you are, not what you want. This statement is not just a clever phrase. It is a fundamental truth that governs everything from relationships to finances to personal growth. People often live under the illusion that if they want something badly enough, if they dream hard enough or write it in a journal, it will somehow show up in their life. But life doesn't operate that way. The universe, the marketplace, even your spiritual reality doesn't respond to your desires. It responds to your decisions, your character, your discipline, your energy, your identity. That is what determines what comes into your life. Wanting alone is passive, but becoming is active. If someone wants financial success, for example, but they continue to operate with a scarcity mindset, avoid responsibility, and waste their time on distractions, they're not going to attract wealth. They're not even in the same zip code as wealth. They're tuned to the wrong frequency. Their internal identity and external actions are not congruent with the life they say they want. So what do they attract instead? More struggle, more missed opportunities, more cycles of lack. And it's not because they're cursed. It's because they are misaligned. They want abundance, but they think like someone who's broke. They want promotion, but they still act like someone who needs permission. This principle applies to relationships too. A person can say they want love, loyalty, and partnership. But if they're full of insecurity, fear, and unresolved emotional wounds, they'll either push away what they want or attract people who reinforce the very dysfunction they claim they're trying to escape. Why? Because what's in you finds what's like you. People mirror each other, whether consciously or not. So if you're walking around with distrust, resentment, or low self-worth, chances are you're going to attract someone who matches that vibration. Not because you want it, but because you are it. That's why personal development isn't just about self-improvement. It's about alignment. It's about asking yourself honestly, am I becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts the results I desire? The moment you take responsibility for that question is the moment your life begins to shift. Because then it's no longer about wishing for change, but stepping into it. It's no longer about waiting for someone to rescue you, but about becoming the person who rescues yourself. You don't attract what you fantasize about. You attract what you're prepared for. You attract what you believe about yourself deep down. You attract what you tolerate. You attract what you practice. It's all a reflection of what's going on inside. Now, this truth can either frustrate you or empower you. It depends on how you choose to respond to it. Some people hear this and feel called out, but others feel called up, because if you realize that what you're attracting is a mirror of who you are, then you also realize you have the power to shift your identity, your habits, your language, your decisions, and your outcomes. You don't have to chase things outside of you. You change what's inside of you, and the outside starts to respond. That's not magic. That's alignment. That's spiritual law. That's the principle of congruence in action. Desire without transformation leads to frustration. Wanting something is natural. Everyone desires something: better health, deeper relationships, financial success, purpose, peace. But desire on its own is not enough. to produce lasting change or real results. Desire might ignite motivation, but without transformation, that spark burns out quickly. This is why so many people feel stuck. They have dreams, goals, and intentions, but they never truly change the version of themselves that is capable of sustaining what they're reaching for. So the outcome remains out of reach, not because the goal is impossible, but because the person reaching for it is still holding on to their old patterns, their old identity, and their old limitations. When people desire more but refuse to become more, they create an internal war. Their spirit pulls them toward expansion, but their habits and mindset pull them backward into comfort. That creates tension. And if that tension is never resolved through real transformation, it becomes chronic frustration. They feel like they're trying, but nothing changes. They feel like they're working hard, but doors stay closed. But here's the truth. Effort without alignment is wasted motion. Transformation is what bridges the gap between wanting and having. Without that bridge, people end up circling the same mountain year after year, wondering why breakthrough never comes. Transformation isn't just about doing more. It's about becoming different. It's about letting go of who you used to be in order to step into who you're called to be. Most people try to apply new strategies with an old identity. They start a business but still think like an employee. They enter a new relationship but bring the same unresolved wounds from the last one. They pursue wealth but carry the same scarcity mentality that kept them broke. And then they wonder why the new thing doesn't work. The frustration isn't in the dream itself. The frustration is in the disconnect between the desire and the person holding it. Desire without transformation also leads to burnout. People keep trying to reach the next level without ever changing the system that got them stuck in the first place. They put in more hours. They try harder. They hustle longer. But hustle can't fix a broken identity. Business is not the same thing as growth. Without transformation, desire turns into striving. And striving will wear you out because you're trying to achieve something you're not yet built to handle. The weight of your calling will always crush the version of you that refuses to grow. This is why frustration is often a gift. It reveals that something inside must evolve. It tells you the way you've been thinking, living, and believing is no longer enough for where you're trying to go. The frustration is not your enemy. It's a signal. It's telling you you're ready for transformation. And transformation doesn't start outside. It starts with mindset. It starts with decisions. It starts with radical self-honesty. Are you willing to shed the comfort of your current identity to embrace the challenge of becoming more? People talk about setting goals, making plans, casting vision. But none of it matters without the internal shift that makes those goals sustainable. If your desire is to lead, but you're afraid to speak up, transformation is required. If your desire is to build wealth, but you still make decisions rooted in fear, transformation is required. If your desire is to experience freedom, but you keep clinging to the chains of your past, transformation is required. You can't live a new life with the same mindset that created the old one. You can't expect new fruit if you're still nurturing the same roots. Success responds to alignment, not desperation. Many people chase success with the wrong energy. They think if they push hard enough, beg loud enough, or show how badly they need it, success will finally give in. But success doesn't move toward neediness. It moves toward readiness. It responds to order, clarity, and purpose. Desperation repels what you're trying to attract because it signals lack, chaos, and fear. Alignment, on the other hand, is about positioning. It's when your thoughts, actions, beliefs, and identity are all pointing in the same direction. That kind of harmony creates a force that draws success naturally, consistently, and powerfully. Desperation tries to take shortcuts. It grasps, it forces, it manipulates. But success doesn't respond to that kind of energy. You can't guilt trip your way into greatness. You can't hustle your way into alignment if your heart and habits are out of order. The reason some people work endlessly and still stay stuck is because their energy is rooted in survival, not strategy. They are busy but not aligned. They're loud but not clear. They're moving fast but not forward. Desperation screams from a place of fear that says, if I don't make this happen, I'll lose everything. Alignment, in contrast, speaks from a place of purpose that says, this is who I am, and I move accordingly. When you're aligned, you don't chase opportunity, you prepare for it. You organize your life in such a way that when the door opens, you're already standing in front of it. Alignment means your habits match your goals. Your language reflects your identity. Your surroundings support your growth. It's not just about what you're doing, but who you're being while you do it. Many people are doing the right things from the wrong place internally. They're networking from insecurity. They're posting content from fear of being forgotten. They're making sales calls with anxiety instead of certainty. That energy can be felt, and it weakens the very results they're hoping to create. Alignment brings ease, not because there's no effort, but because there's no internal resistance. Your values are in agreement with your vision. Your actions are consistent with your belief system. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to perform. You just show up as your true self, fully calibrated to your assignment. That level of clarity creates momentum. And momentum born from alignment is sustainable, unlike the frantic, inconsistent effort that desperation produces. People who operate from desperation burn out. People who operate from alignment build systems, create legacy, and multiply their impact. Success can sense whether you're aligned or not. It can tell when you've done the inner work. It can tell when you've taken authority over your mindset, when you've cleaned up your disciplines, when your intentions are rooted in service and not self-preservation. Success shows up when you stop chasing and start embodying. That's what alignment does. It turns you into a magnet for the right opportunities, the right people, and the right timing. Not because of luck, but because of preparation. Not because of pressure, but because of purpose. Desperation is a signal that something is out of order. It's not just about wanting something badly. It's about feeling disconnected from the belief that it can truly be yours. That disconnection creates panic. But when you're aligned, you already know it's yours. You don't need to force it. You don't need to beg for it. You simply take the steps that are consistent with your future because that future has already been decided. Success responds to that posture. It responds to people who are not only hungry, but also healthy. Not only driven, but also directed. Not only inspired, but also aligned. Become the person your goals require. Goals are not just destinations. They are reflections of the version of you that must exist for those results to be sustainable. Most people set goals based on what they want, but they rarely stop to ask, who do I need to become to carry the weight of that goal? It's easy to dream about a 6-figure income, a thriving business, or a healthy relationship, but those outcomes demand a certain level of discipline, mindset, and emotional maturity. Goals don't shape your life. Your identity does. And if your identity doesn't evolve, your goals will remain just out of reach, no matter how clearly you write them down or how badly you want them. There is a difference between setting a goal and stepping into the identity that can accomplish it. If you want to build a successful business, you can't just think like an employee. You have to begin thinking like a leader, like a strategist, like someone who takes responsibility for results instead of just checking boxes. If your goal is to be financially free, but you're still operating with spending habits that reflect short-term thinking and emotional decision making, you're not in alignment with the outcome you want. Your actions are still loyal to a lesser version of yourself. Until you upgrade that version, the result can't manifest. Becoming the person your goals require means you start living in agreement with the future you say you want. That means your routines change, your circle may change, your standards must rise. You start showing up differently. You talk with more conviction. You move with more purpose. You no longer tolerate what keeps you small because you recognize it conflicts with the magnitude of the vision you're carrying. You can't build a high-level life on low-level habits. Your character must stretch to meet the demands of your calling. Your decisions must reflect the reality you're building, not the comfort zone you're leaving behind. Many people struggle not because their goals are too big, but because their commitment to becoming is too small. They romanticize the reward, but resist the refinement. They want the influence, but not the responsibility. They want the breakthrough, but not the breaking process that precedes it. But real growth requires sacrifice. To become the person your goals require, you will have to let go of certain versions of yourself, versions that were necessary for survival, but are not suited for your next level. You may have to give up excuses that kept you safe. You may have to silence the inner critic that tells you you're not enough. You may have to forgive, to heal, to release. Because as long as you're holding on to yesterday's identity, you'll sabotage tomorrow's destiny. Your future is not built on emotion. It's built on discipline. Becoming the person your goals require is not always exciting. It's often repetitive. It's waking up early when you don't feel like it. It's saying no to distractions that offer short-term pleasure, but long-term regret. It's doing the internal work, addressing your fears, challenging your limiting beliefs, confronting your inconsistencies. That kind of transformation doesn't happen by accident. It's a decision you make daily. And every small decision you make in alignment with your future self is a vote for that version of you. What's powerful is that once you begin to become that person, the world starts responding differently. Doors open that used to be locked. People show up who align with your purpose. Resources find their way to you because you've become the person who can steward them well. The more you embody the mindset, habits, and values of the person your goals require, the less effort you need to convince anyone of your worth. You no longer chase validation because you're walking in your assignment with integrity and clarity. Your habits reveal your readiness for what you seek. You can speak about your goals, write down your affirmations, and cast a compelling vision all day long, but the real evidence of your preparation is found in your daily habits. Habits don't lie. They are the clearest indicators of who you are becoming and what you are truly committed to. If your habits are small, reactive, and inconsistent, then no matter how big your dreams are, you're not aligned with them. Your routines tell the truth about your priorities. They show whether your identity has caught up to your intention. A person may say they're ready for abundance, but if their habits still reflect scarcity, like avoiding budgeting, impulsive spending, or procrastinating important decisions, then their life is not yet structured to sustain abundance. They may want leadership, But if their habits still include blame shifting, avoiding accountability, or a lack of personal growth, then they're not yet prepared to lead anyone. Goals can inspire you, but habits determine if you'll arrive. The future doesn't respond to fantasy. It responds to structure, to discipline, to order. What you do repeatedly becomes who you are consistently, and who you are consistently creates the results you experience. Your habits are either rehearsing your limitations or reinforcing your future. The repetition of small, wise decisions builds momentum in the direction of your calling. But the repetition of lazy or fear-based choices builds walls between you and your breakthrough. This is not about perfection. It's about intentionality. Every habit is a vote for the kind of person you believe yourself to be. If you consistently hit snooze on your goals, you're not just being tired, you're reinforcing the belief that your dream can wait. If you avoid hard conversations, you're not just avoiding conflict. You're reinforcing the belief that you can't handle leadership pressure. Habits don't just produce results, they reveal your identity. When someone is truly ready for the next level, you can see it in how they move through the day. They guard their time. They invest in learning. They take care of their health. They manage their money with purpose. They don't just say they want more. They act like it. Their calendar reflects their commitment. Their decisions reflect their discipline. Their lifestyle matches the level they say they're aiming for. This is how readiness is built, not through hype, but through consistency, through doing what needs to be done, even when no one is watching, through mastering the boring but necessary details that create long-term success. Your habits also influence how people perceive you. Clients, partners, leaders, they don't just respond to what you say, they respond to what you consistently do. If your habits are sloppy, disorganized, or reactive, you'll signal that you're not ready for greater responsibility. But when your habits reflect clarity, professionalism, and excellence, people trust you with more. Opportunities flow toward the prepared. People with strong habits don't wait for luck. They position themselves for favor by living in rhythm with the future they're building. You don't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your habits. This is why small daily actions carry so much power. It's not about intensity, it's about consistency. Anyone can be inspired for a week, but transformation belongs to those who show up every day and build systems that serve their purpose. Your habits are the invisible architecture of your destiny. If you want to know where your life is headed, don't look at your vision board, look at your routine. Look at how you spend your mornings, how you manage stress, how you treat people when no one is watching. That is the real indicator of your readiness for what you claim to desire. Elevate your identity to match your destiny. What most people don't understand is that success isn't just about doing more. It's about becoming more. Your destiny doesn't adjust to fit the current version of who you are. You have to grow into the version of yourself that is equipped to carry the weight, the influence, and the responsibility of your assignment. If your identity is rooted in fear, doubt, or insecurity, you'll keep sabotaging opportunities that were meant to elevate you, because your internal reality sets the ceiling for your external results. Until you elevate your identity, you will continue to live beneath your potential, no matter how big your dreams are. Every time you try to access a higher level of success without upgrading your self-concept, you'll feel resistance. That resistance is not always from the outside. It's often coming from within. There is a conflict between who you believe you are and what you're trying to achieve. You can't consistently live a life that is out of alignment with your core beliefs. If deep down you see yourself as someone who always falls short, who never finishes, who's not good enough, that belief will override any temporary motivation or inspiration. Your identity will always win over your intentions. Elevating your identity doesn't mean pretending to be something you're not. It means removing the false labels and limitations that life, culture, or past failure may have placed on you. It means confronting the stories you've been telling yourself about what you're capable of. It means healing the places in your mindset where shame and fear have been allowed to live unchecked. Destiny doesn't respond to who you were, it responds to who you're becoming. And becoming requires shedding. You have to let go of the version of you that was built for survival so you can embrace the version of you built for significance. You cannot carry the mantle of greatness while still clinging to the mindset of mediocrity. The version of you that procrastinates, avoids challenges, and runs from feedback cannot walk into a room and command influence. That version was useful for getting by, but it's not useful for breaking through. Destiny requires a new language. It requires new posture. It requires new disciplines. And all of those things flow from a renewed identity. When you see yourself differently, you show up differently. You make decisions that align with your worth. You stop shrinking to fit rooms that you were born to lead. Elevating your identity also means surrounding yourself with people and environments that reinforce who you are becoming, not who you used to be. If everyone around you is comfortable with your dysfunction, they will resist your transformation. But destiny doesn't wait for consensus. It responds to conviction. When your identity is elevated, you no longer look for permission to step into purpose. You walk with authority because you've done the internal work to align with the vision. And that alignment creates favor. It attracts the right partnerships, opens the right doors, and ignites the right strategies. This isn't about arrogance. It's about accuracy. When you align with the truth of who you were created to be, you stop settling for crumbs when you were built for tables. You stop apologizing for dreaming big. You stop hiding behind false humility and start living with holy confidence. That confidence doesn't come from ego. It comes from clarity. Clarity about your assignment. Clarity about your value. Clarity about what you're called to shift, build, or lead. That kind of clarity is the result of identity elevation. And once your identity catches up to your destiny, you'll start to see doors open that were once shut. Not because the opportunity changed, but because you did.